Hello. Um, this is Lindsay Charles, and you are listening slash watching Daggercast, where we talk about cultural and racial representation in horror, among many, many other things, how horror shaped us and whatnot. As I'm taping this, it's Saturday, and I am escaping my family to come and talk to you about stuff. I'm very excited about the show. We had a wonderful guest, and I will introduce him shortly. But first, I would like to talk about a movie that I just watched recently. It is a movie from this year. It is called Master. It was directed, a debut direction by Mariama Diallo, who is a gorgeous Black lady that directed this awesome movie. It's awesome, but I had some issues. Now, Jordan Peele has obviously been the forerunner of like kind of just bringing Black trauma to horror. Um, in Get Out, he did it very well, I think. There were moments where I was very uncomfortable, especially at that very end when you thought the cops were coming. That made me uncomfortable. But most of it was done a little on the lighter side. Still kind of like, God, that happens and it sucks that that happens, but it wasn't so heavy-handed. Master, it's like, for me, it was like watching Martyrs, but instead of being physically tortured in order to gain some kind of divineness, it was like a Black woman was just getting like microaggressed, like largely aggressed. I don't even know if aggressed is a word, but I just felt like a lot of bad things were happening to this poor Black freshman in this obviously majority white, like built on the gallows of Salem college that is obviously like having a diversity problem, and that they're trying to fix. But she just gets put down and put down and put down to a point, and here are the spoilers, where she kills herself. Like, and you think like, oh, it could be a ghost, it could be a witch, it could be but I don't think it was any of that. And this is where I thought it was pretty good. I literally like wrote this movie off beginning and just was like, this is just too heavy-handed Black trauma porn. And also there was a character in it that was just so obviously a Rachel Dolezal like situation, where she was obviously white, but then she was like wearing braids and was like, we're Black, us sisters have to stick together. But I'm like, that looks like a white woman to me. Even as a even as a very light-skinned biracial woman, I was like, I think she's white. So at the very end, of course, like this Puritan lady comes and she goes, "This is my daughter," and it's actually the Rachel Dolezal. I don't even remember what her name is. But when I went back and kind of thought about all of the things that happened, so a cross was burned in front of the library, and instantly that Rachel Dolezal was there. And then she was being like pursued. The Black freshman was being pursued by a Black hooded person. And in the end, when they confront this Rachel Dolezal lady, she puts a hood on her head, and I'm like, wait, did she just? Also, like the whole thing was that I don't know, like the Black freshman girl was not. I think her name was Jasmine. She was not talking about like racial stuff in the Scarlet Letter, and her like whole argument was like there wasn't any racial issues in the Scarlet Letter, they were all white. I don't understand. But then this Rachel Dolezal character gave her bad grades. And so then at the end of the movie, I was like, wait, was she in on this? Was she doing all of this to literally make this Black freshman kill herself? Because in the end, you realize that like basically the college itself is like keeping itself pure. That the people that founded it actually are like immortal and have never died, and they're just kind of like pretending to take care of the diversity situation even though they're not. And so then the Regina Hall character, who is like she serves as like the housemaster of the college, which is like an esteemed thing. Apparently she just leave in the end of the movie, she just leaves, and you're just like, okay. But still, like, they get to continue doing what they're doing. And so For me, it was both like an interesting movie, but it also was just, it was very heavy handed in the sense that it was like black people are put down and that's it. There's no one gets their comeuppance, no one gets to get away other than the Regina Hall character. The freshman girl just literally succumbs to the pressure and the bullying and the black trauma. It sucks. It sucked to watch. But after watching, after thinking about it some more, I was like, oh, it was that Rachel Dolezal. She did it all. Like, so basically, give it a watch if you feel like it. This is me telling you, even though I've told you everything. Yeah, I don't know. Just give it a watch. Tell me what you think. I would really be interested in what other people think about it. It was definitely a movie that not many of my friends went and saw. So I don't know. It's on Amazon. So go to. Um, our guest is one of my favorite people in the Chicago local scene. I miss seeing his name in my inbox asking me to do shows. Pre-pandemic, I was getting them pretty often from Vito Nusret, our wonderful our guest. He is a lover of movies, not just horror. He's been doing recently these things called movies in a minute. So every time he watches a movie, he like kind of does like a little 1 minute blurb about the movie, which has been very helpful to me, to just kind of, oh, is it good, is it bad, what's it about, should I give it a try. So really right now you can only see those if you're Facebook friends with him, but we are encouraging him very strongly to make that a thing. He also has great write-ups on horror blogs like Daily Grindhouse, Neon Splatter. Do keep an eye out for his writing. He's a wonderful writer, not just of emails of, hey, can you play the Burlington on a Tuesday and play last? Bane of my existence. Anyway, please have a lovely time watching our amazing interview, albeit with some technical difficulties, but with our lovely friend Vito Nusret. Here it is.
Well, hey there, Vito.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so happy to see you. I'm seriously like this is usually and it's so funny like I see your face, but really like I am transported to that room in between the bar and the stage at the Burlington.
The little
Like
yellow room.
yeah, the little yeah, like I feel like I'm in the little yellow room and I'm here. I miss you in my inboxes, honestly.
I
Um
miss you too.
aw, my I forgot to tell everybody we we can't play this. I'm sorry. Like I
I
feel like
always I always had a thick skin about it because I would remind myself that this show is not everyone's life. It's just my life. It's the
it just
only thing that's important to me.
when we were like, we've been a band for so long that now we're like that older band, like that older people that are like, I want to be on time for the load in. I want to be prompt and polite with the people who are doing all the stuff.
You
And
were
I would
always pretty prompt and polite with me. I got no
Well, yeah,
complaints.
but I remember like really judging like bands that were not, even if they were full of cool people, I would be like, well, they need to show up on time. Vito has precious time and he doesn't deserve this. So it's really, I don't know, it's so good to see you.
Excellent to see you. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely, thank you.
Long
Like
time listener, first time caller.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's great.
So you've been doing quite a lot of I mean, I feel like the pandemic has changed us all in many ways. And in yours, I have noticed on Facebook specifically that you've been doing a lot of movie reviews, which it's actually been very helpful for me because your Movies in a Minute has because you seem like someone who watches a large swath of movies regardless of genre, kind of regardless of much. You just want to watch a movie and say some stuff about it, which really helps me when I'm like, was that movie good? Okay, Vito said it was good. He said he didn't like hate it. So great. Like I'm gonna watch it. So when did that start? Like kind of tell me your process of starting all of that.
Yeah, it started last year, 2021, where I was keeping a list of movies that I had watched because I had watched stuff over and over again without realizing it. So my partner had this brilliant idea. She's like, just write a little blurb so you remember what you wrote. And so, everything I do, I try to make myself laugh. So I would write these like little tiny like jokey things, and she thought they were funny, and she's like, you should just start posting those. So I did. I just started sharing them around, and it was kind of crazy awesome how many people would say how they liked them and how they would interact with them and how they find movies that they haven't heard of. Because like you said, I kind of like everything, and I get criticized for having sort of a soft touch with movie. Like I kind of like everything. Like there's nothing where I'm like I hated it. I can't think of too many movies where I'm like that's garbage, don't watch it. Because
Yeah,
I can
like
try to find the good.
that's awesome. No, and I feel like some people pride themselves into being snobs about movies. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, those people have realized that that was stupid. That like I had a friend who was just talking about how she was like, well, I didn't like horror because I thought horror movies were bad. Like horror movies are bad. They're not nominated for things. No one ever like says like bravo to a horror movie. But then she like started watching them, like the staples and the classics that we all enjoy, and was like, wait a minute, like you just have to like not care, and then also you get pleasantly surprised that actually this is a great movie.
I
I'm
always
like,
like that horror movies kind of like are outsider perspectives, like it's always the disenfranchised kind of weirdos that are like getting one over on the popular sexy kids.
yes, no, and it's funny because I feel like this whole like our podcast was basically made from the fact that we felt like a lot of outsiders were not getting really much of a say in horror, which I think stuck out even more because that's what horror is. It's all about like yeah, the outsider kind of being a freak or being a monster or something. And um so yeah, I agree. This is like a perfect place for like I feel like horror should have always been the melting pot. It always was.
Yeah.
To the horror writers way back in the day before movies were even around. So, yeah. So like I guess one thing I've so you started like the movies a minute. So now you are like I took a look at the website the Daily Grindhouse, which you have some stuff on. So are you now like writing longer things about movies?
Yeah, so far it's been mostly long form stuff that people have had me do. I mean, not super long, like 1,000 words here and there. Um, which is good. Like it's nice to be able to like flex and draw stuff out rather than do like, all right, how do I get my point across in like a sentence?
Yeah, was this from like the movies in a minute, or were you like writing longer stuff before?
I kind of dabbled in a little bit of writing. Like when we first shut down pandemic, uh I was trying to I had for fun, like I have no ambitions. But I said I wanted to see if I could write a screenplay, and I wrote two. And so
What?
like I was kind of writing every day, and I was using the movies in minute thing to kind of like just like exercise, like sort of
Like a
just like
warm up, yeah.
practice my writing chops. Like, can you be funny in a sentence, kind of thing.
No, I totally understand it too. Like I really get it. And I think a lot of this talk is going to be about the one that you just wrote recently for Daily Grindhouse, the comfort horror movie, The
Yeah,
Thing. Because I felt like you were I felt like you were so like hilarious in a funny like just in like a cool way, in the sense that you were talking about this movie that you love, that is a comfort movie to you, The Thing, which I think is I'm gonna explain later why I think that's a perfect comfort horror movie. But like my favorite like imagery was you saying that you were giving your dogs Benadryl. Because you're like, because they're rowdy. But it's like, of course you can't watch The Thing with rowdy dogs. They have to be chill, because it's like
Yeah, both
you
my
need your
dogs have like severe separation anxiety
oh
and
no.
are special needs dogs, so they will go bonkers at nothing. Like it was crazy because we had one dog that we inherited from her dad when he passed, and it was already kind of a bundle of nerves. So we're like, oh, we're gonna get another dog to chill that dog out, so we could like try to leave the house once. And that other dog is like another bundle of nerves kind of thing. Like they're like different poles. Like one's like super nervous and like passive, and the other one's like hyper aggressive. And but the hyper aggressive one's like 20 pounds, like little Chihuahua pit bull.
They always are, man. They
He's
always
like
are.
Scrappy Doo from Scooby Doo. He looks exactly like that.
Let me at him. Look at
Yeah, that's his personality.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I and again, this what you're explaining to me is the nightmare scenario for me. I'm just really happy my cat, when I'm watching something scary, is just like, I'm over here. I'm not gonna be messing with you over there.
Right.
Or she'll be like, I need warmth. Like that's it. And then it's just like a comfort thing where I'm like, oh shit. Like,
Get you through the scary scenes.
right. I'm like, thank you. I loved, yeah, but I really read and reread your the article you wrote about The Thing, because it was like very apropos for like a post Halloween, but also like The Thing is like a great, to me it would be a great, not like during Halloween movie, but like a winter, like you went as things start to get colder, and you explain that like what a perfect movie for a Midwestern winter, when you're already like kind of stuck inside. It's like the perfect, and you're absolutely right. Like when it's snowing and nobody wants to be outside, watch The Thing, because you basically have like enhanced the movie by putting yourself in almost exactly the setting, because Midwest is Antarctica for
Yeah,
like for a hot week, and that's about it.
yeah, and I feel like as Midwesterners, like there's definitely a general hatred for winter. Like nobody likes it, especially like the post holidays. Like people have like mixed reviews on holidays. Like some people love them, some people hate them, but nobody likes January. Like people think January can just fuck right off. And I don't know, like I like to
Even
have stuff to
February,
look forward
honestly.
to always. Like I like to have like my year planned out via my comfort movies. Like each month should have like a seasonally appropriate movie.
Ooh, okay. That's really okay. I'm really gonna have to think about that. Monthly comfort movies. I'm sorry, I'm writing that down because I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give you 12-minute long things of as to why this should be the monthly comfort movie for February or whatever.
100%, please do.
I will. That sounds fun. This is great. Like it's almost like you've given me like a little challenge. Um, why I love that you picked The Thing is because my comfort, because that movie was I wrote it on 1982. Um, John Carpenter made my favorite comfort horror movie in 1987, which is Prince of Darkness.
Yes. I had
Um,
my fingers crossed. I was hoping you'd say Prince of Darkness. I
yeah,
love that movie, and no one talks about it.
no one talks about it, and to me it's like an odd choice, but when I watched it the first time, it felt like a blanket. It just felt like somebody put a blanket over me and was like, hey, guess what, like there are things in the world that are fully out of our control, that like, I don't know, a galactic dark lord might try to pop through a mirror, and you will literally have no say over if that happens or not, no matter how smart you are. So enjoy. Like, and that's like what I love about it. I think my favorite, because I've kind of been like talking about like what genres of horror do I like or do I not like? And I think Prince of Darkness hits me in just the right way, where it's like I love movies like kind of like Hereditary, movies where something terrible is gonna happen, but no one has any control
Like
over what.
existential dread.
Yeah, where it's just literally like this thing that was hidden, like basically Prince of Darkness is like a freaking canister of Satan is in a basement of a church. and they tried to, the people tried to protect us from them, but then they all died, and now here it is. And I mean, in the end, of course, it ends well, because if you didn't, that would be, I don't know, it ends well, question mark. But
I
like,
think there's some ambiguity.
exactly, yeah. And but yeah, it's just, what I like about it is it's very like out of your hands. And I feel like even with like Hereditary, it was just kind of like this mother was kind of at the mercy of what her mother was doing, and all of these like great laid plans to make this thing happen. And I like the kind of horror story where it's like nothing that the protagonist could do will stop it. You might think that they could stop it like a little bit, but really in the end it's just like, or like The Ring. That was like, The Ring was a great um movie where you thought the protagonist had saved herself, but really like she had doomed someone else, and it was
Right.
like, oops, you're never going to be able to stop this. It's something that will literally never stop. So I really
Yeah.
like, I guess I like that. It's almost like that's the best kind of horror. For me, that's like the best kind, because it's like I have no control
Yeah,
over it.
I love that kind of horror too. Like and it follows where like it just kind of it's something that can go on in perpetuity and that you don't have control except for like a tiny little bit.
And nor do you even like fully understand where it came from, or what can stop it. Like there's no way to ask it questions. Like you just have to live like with it. So yeah, I like with Prince of Darkness, there's just so much like scientific talk and like weird like the, I don't know, it's like the science branch that's just kind of like theoretical,
Yeah.
that they're just living on a theoretical idea. And even that, like even just being the smartest people you can be, you're just like, duh, like this we can't stop this. It's just gonna happen.
Well,
um
I like the idea that they put forth in that where like the old ways could only serve to contain this thing. We could do better than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, let's, or even like just the fact that it was like what Donald Pleasance's like the plays like one of the priests that finds out about this, and he's like, please help me, scientist. And all they're like, we're just gonna study it. But like, what? And then I don't know. It's just like you just basically gave it what it wanted. Just put a person over here so I can spit at it. Gotcha.
I also like the idea of where like people don't know they're in a horror movie yet. You know, I mean, I know no one really knows, but like the characters aren't acting like they're in a horror movie yet.
Yes. What's a good? Give me a good example. Give me an example of that.
Like, well, in a movie I just did a quick little review for called Scare Me.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen this. Or there was also like a Scare Us? Is that like,
Scare
okay,
Us
cool.
is like an anthology horror thing that's more it's
Okay.
more traditional. It's good. I liked it, but Scare Me is like a little higher concept because it's two horror writers telling each other scary stories in a blackout. And
Whoa.
they don't like they don't cut to the story. Like I don't want to ruin it for you and tell you too much, but like they don't it's not an anthology where they like are showing like a whole production
Okay.
it's just their words kind of thing that kind of get the story across.
Okay. Okay. I'm definitely, yeah, that's
It's on
amazing.
Shutter. I loved it. I love this movie.
Dude, I love Shutter. I'll never say bad things about Shutter ever in my life. Great. That's awesome. Um, 'Cause yeah, like or like the movie Creep with one of the Duplass brothers, like that is funny because you do think you're like, oh, I'm just watching like because it's all like with a camera, like there's no like production team or anything. It's just literally someone films a guy,
Fake
and
found
then
footage.
yeah, it's like a found footage, and then and then yeah, it turns out that this guy is just, he's weird at first, but then you're like, oh shit, like, and I think you're well into the movie when you realize that something actually terrible is going to happen, and you're like, oh, that's, but yeah, that's definitely like a movie where you're like, I didn't know that that was, you could say that that was like a comedy, and then suddenly be like, oh fuck, like I like that.
But like the reverse of that is sort of like Scream, where it's like it's a horror movie where they are meta and they're making reference to horror movies, but everyone acts like they're in a horror movie, you know, like everyone makes all the horror movie mistakes, even though they know
Totally.
better.
Yeah, even though they're literally like spouting off, like
Yeah.
it is kind of funny because they are like, I'm the authority on all of horror, and they do it differently every movie.
Yeah.
So like in the beginning, it was pretty much like maybe Scream 1 was like the most horror movie. But then like, I mean, man, by the time we got to this new Scream, people were literally like, they were like playing with the whole like jump scare where the guy's like walking around and like the door would open and nothing would be behind it, or even like Scream, like the Scream before it, Scream 4, where she's like, where one of the girls like knocking off all the horror movies before she dies. Like
Yeah.
it's so funny, like the way they've found new ways to like, or even like the killers of this last one were like just horror nuts, like on the internet, which I'm like, oh no, like in Scream 1, we wouldn't have those people, you know? Like we didn't have crazy online people in Scream 1. And by the time we've gotten to like Stab 4 or whatever the hell they're like the movie is that they're, it just becomes so meta that I'm like, what is the next Scream gonna be? Is it gonna be like it almost like you'd have to like do Interstellar. Like it'd have to be some guy like behind the movie going, fix this. Oh my God. It happened this way all along because of this man in a tesseract. Like,
I feel like with each of those Scream movies, the killer or killers is plucked from the fan base. We're like, look, this is why you're a horror movie nut and why you're weird because this is what you can run afoul of being. You could be this.
exactly. Like you can be that and no one will notice until you, I don't know, start
Stabbing
inserting
classmates.
yourself into your, yeah, like I'm gonna move to the town I love, It'd be like me like going to Haddonfield and being like, hey guys, you guys know about that Michael Myers guy? I love those movies, and then
That's why
killing
you
everybody.
that's why you always make horror movies in fake towns so people don't go there.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm doing a very Midwestern thing, and in December I'm going to LA because I've never experienced a place that doesn't have winter. And I'm
Never
very
been in a
excited.
You've never been like in a warm climate in the wintertime?
Never.
You can get like super cheap flights to like New Orleans in December before like the Mardi Gras season comes, and that's the
Ooh,
best time to go to that city.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. That's
because
such a
it's not packed. It's not like I mean I I'm a rather misanthropic traveler, so maybe don't listen to me. But
oh man,
I
this sounds
I
like a
can avoid
hot topic, like hot tips. Hot
if
tips
I
with Vito.
if I can avoid lines, that's I structure my entire life around that.
I love that. And I will absolutely, yeah, I guess I've never like done that. There's been like, like I remember living in a place where I'm like, wait, it didn't snow one time this winter. And everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, yay. But I'm always in the minority. So yeah, I told my friend, I was like, I want to go to California in the winter. This is my only wish this year. Make it happen. So yeah, we're gonna and turns out in LA the Halloween house is there. So I can go
Really?
there and yeah, I can go there in broad daylight and just be like, hey, it's 60 degrees. Let's go. I'm so
It'll probably
pumped.
look like October in Chicago.
Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Um so I want to know your origin story with horror. Where did it begin? Where was your first horror movie? What got you in? What made you feel good?
It's such a tough question for me to answer because I'm the third of four children. So like music and my music taste and my movie taste, it's like all borrowed from some older, cooler Nusret who like
Oh,
was there first. You know what I mean? Like it was always just
I'm
kind of on and around. But like I think the first horror, it's not even a horror movie, but the first movie where I'm like, I like spooky stuff was is got to be Ghostbusters. Like
okay.
as like a little kid, I wanted to be a Ghostbuster and like I like think I made a Halloween costume at like 7 or 8. So like I think that was my intro into horror, but like real horror probably came as like a teenager with like renting movies.
Cool. Well, no, I mean, Ghostbusters is valid. I would consider that a valid horror
It's
entree.
almost a horror movie. It's so
Yeah,
close.
it is. It is. It's so close. It is, but like, I don't know. I feel like it stands up. I feel like they're all of the descript, like, it checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. And as like a young and like mine is Rocky Horror Picture Show. I saw it when I was 6 years old. I thought I was
Yeah.
watching porn, and I remember that like changed the way I watched movies. Or at least like when something was scary, I wasn't so worried about it. I'm
Like
really
horror
excited.
movies with a net. It's like you're safe. You're not gonna be attacked by Frankenfurter.
Exactly. Like I was a big, like I watched a lot of like Mel Brooks. So like Young Frankenstein was like a big
Oh, good.
movie when I was a kid. Um but it wasn't ever scary because Gene Wilder was there. Like that man can't be scary. His eyes are huge, but he can't be scary. I also I'm just a little shocked that there are older and cooler Nusrets in the world.
Oh, I'm the least cool of the four. Did you freeze? Did I freeze? Oh no.
Okay, now we're back on my phone this time.
Hey,
What in the hell?
technology.
That was dumb. Anyway, while I was frozen, I was just thinking about you and the cooler Nusrets that exist in the world, and I'm like, how is it possible?
It's a fact. I'm the least cool one. The total square.
I don't believe
L7 weenie.
Yeah. That's amazing. Did they, I mean, so were they like, were they like, come watch this cool horror movie? Like, were they ever like, did you ever watch something that was like too soon for you to watch because you had older siblings?
100% yes. But also like my taste in movies and music is sort of like their Castaways, where they're like they would buy a tape or a CD and they'd be like, I thought this sucked, you can have it. And so that became my favorite thing.
I kind of like that. I feel like, yeah, my dad was a DJ, so he always would be like, "Oh, Lindsay, here's what like the alternative stations are playing. I'm not really listening to this, but okay, computer." And I would just be like, "Oh, like it's like define me as a person." So whatever.
Absolutely. Like to this day, I have some embarrassing takes, particularly on music, because I think like Bush is cooler than Nirvana because my
Okay.
sister was a Bush fan. So my older sister or my older brother he liked Megadeth more than Metallica. So I also like Megadeth more than Metallica.
That's pretty cool though. I like, yeah, I feel like as an older sister, it really does my heart so much good when my brother like still like talks about like old music that I like turned him on to, like Gorillaz. Like when he got into Gorillaz, I was like, oh my god, like it's just because I loved this cartoon band with all my heart, like he's just always been really or like we played a video game called Jet Grind Radio on Dreamcast all the time,
Yeah.
that like no one else knew about except for me and my dad. And my dad was literally like, oh, this looks like a game you would like. I'm not really, so I guess it was like my dad, since I didn't have anyone. I didn't have an older sibling. Like my dad was always the guy that was like, oh, have you ever heard of Ren and Stimpy? Let's watch some stuff.
When I tried to big brother my younger sister, she was just always too cool school and just like, yeah, whatever, your shit's garbage.
So you're right. You actually are the least
I'm
cool.
the least cool. I am the least cool. I mean, I tried to like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get tattoos and be punk, and it's still the worst. The shittiest version of Nusret.
I love it.
I'm like the wish.com Nusret.
Are they like, but they're like, like I'm sure they are supportive of, or they're not being like, oh, Vito's writing stupid 1-minute things about movies that suck. Like, they're not.
No, they're very cool and supportive, but because we're all grown-ups now. But if we were kids, they would totally be razzing me.
That's amazing.
They would totally burn me, and I would be embarrassed.
Because you'd just be like writing them in a notebook, and
Yeah,
and they would just be like, "Look what I found." Vito's like, "Oh, this movie's not bad. This movie
yeah.
sucks."
They would probably like stop everyone from singing "Happy Birthday" to me to read what I had written in my private journal to like extended family members.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about new movies. You talked about Scare Me, which I think was a recent movie. Have there
2020, yeah.
Is there any like other, I don't know, give me some recs. Your opinion is important to me.
Oh man, that is a lot of pressure, and I hope to not fail you. But there's another 2020 movie that I did a neon splatter review for called Uncle Peckerhead, and I think Germ also recommended it to you.
Yes.
It's such a good movie if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
You gotta watch it.
Germ, I'm sorry for not listening to you this time, but I am gonna listen after the second opinion that I've received. I promise to report back.
For nothing else, as a touring musician, you will appreciate like 90% of the movie because it's so much of like a scrappy touring punk band doing their first tour, and it's so charming. It's so cute and funny and scary. It's got everything I like in a movie.
Nice.
I also really like Barbarian. I know that's just like the echo chamber. Everyone really liked Barbarian, but it's so good.
You're saying it's good because it's good. It really was good.
Who would have thought the guy from Whitest Kids You Know had that story in him? Zach, the director. He was in that. Yeah, he's in that sketch comedy troupe, Whitest Kids You Know. I think his only other movie before that is like a teen sex rock called Miss March.
Whoa.
Pretty sure that's the only other movie feature he's directed, but I could be wrong.
That's amazing. I had no clue.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool. It's so funny. I feel like lately there have been a lot of directors doing like huge things that I'm like, wait a minute, what else did you do before this? Like, you did little things and now here you are. Like, I just saw Wakanda Forever, saw my eyes out. But like Ryan Coogler, like this fucking guy over here, like, just so good. Or like the girl who did Nomadland and then suddenly was like, oh, I'm gonna do Eternals, even though Eternals wasn't great. It was still just like, whoa, like
really good. Like the visually, it was a striking looking film.
Yeah, visually it was very good, and the story she was trying to I just think it was funny. It was basically like a normal, like a person who likes like human movies writing about
superhero,
not human. Yeah, so it was very like a human story, but also wait, no, we're not. Like,
I feel like they should have gone 2 movies. Like they should have done one, the human story, and then rev up to like the God movie, and I think it would have made people happier largely.
Exactly. No, I feel like a lot of people have talked about like, what does anyone on Earth care that a giant hand is coming out of the earth? Like, does anybody care? Like, so
is this a bad thing?
Yeah, it's like her the way she directed was just so human that it was like, wait, but what about the human reaction of this giant thing coming out of our planet? No, nothing. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, sometimes I think superhero movies are great, but they really do require you to have a huge suspension of disbelief. You're just like,
I feel like the great ones build up a cachet of goodwill and drama. Like you were saying with Wakanda Forever. I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's going to be an enjoyable experience for me. But like you look at the Avengers movies, those had like 4 other movies building your cachet for feelings for these characters before they got to the world beating monster, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, and also like something that I really appreciated about Wakanda Forever is that Coogler knew his audience, and he knew that his audience were Black people that did not see any other Marvel movie other than Black Panther. Like, they were like, I don't know her, I don't know any of these side characters, I don't care about them, and so they left them out. So there's literally like maybe a little bit of, but like whereas with like Multiverse of Madness, they were like, here's the list of movies you have to watch to understand anything going on. And it
But I
was
did love how that played like a horror movie. Like, I mean, it really is a Sam Raimi movie.
Sam Raimi killed it. Like, and it was so funny because my husband's in-laws are nearby, so we talked to them a lot. And we were like, it was one of those movies where I'm like, well, I mean, it was really good. We loved it. Maybe not for your mom though. Like, because she was like, would I like it? And I'm like, no, it's too scary. Too scary for you. It's a Sam Raimi. And she's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, that's why you should not watch it.
My one critique of it is I really wish they wouldn't have undone so much of WandaVision rather, because I
Yes.
really like the story that they were gearing towards.
I agree. And I feel like I don't know, I felt like they tied it up too easily in the sense where it was like, oh, oh, mother's grief, a woman's grief, like just kind of had to be so neatly wrapped up. And I was like, no, she could have just like kept her alive and had her like deal with it, or like
The whole time watching it, I was hoping that it was going to be like a multiverse version of Wanda, and then the real Wanda, our verse Wanda, is going to still be alive and help win, kind of thing.
exactly. No, and that would have been really smart for real. And also I think like, yeah, I just don't think she needed to die. Like, why can't we just watch people literally grieve forever? Like, because that's like what real people have to do.
Right.
Like,
Well, and also like you don't have to have a person like visually on film watching them grief. I think the specter of that grief is a very powerful tool that like why give yourself one less tool as a storyteller? Like you don't have to have that actor in the multiverse, on contract. You just have the idea of them still existing sad forever.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah. And I think sometimes they think, oh, but the actor, she doesn't want to do it anymore. And I'm just like,
It's not a soap opera. You don't have to kill off weekly characters.
yeah, you don't have to kill them off. You just put somebody else there. Like, that's cool. Like, I like what they did with Chadwick, like with Black Panther. But of course, like Black Panther didn't have to be Chadwick Boseman the whole time. That's what makes it special. Like, like it was that anyone could be Black Panther as long as you earned the right. So yeah, I think, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they're very like scared that people aren't going to come see movies because like Robert Downey Jr. is not in them. And I'm like, dude, no, he deserves a break.
Yeah,
Let them.
it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. It's an
Don't worry,
Iron
Disney.
Man. You just keep the mask closed. We don't know who it is.
Well, like also you don't have to have that character. There's literally a million characters you could do.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm moving this around. I'm scared that the sound is being funny, but whatever. Okay, well, I feel like we're near the end of this. I'm so sorry that I had a bit of technical difficulty.
It was worth it for the freeze frame. It was incredible. I hope you get to see it.
I'm so scared.
Amazing.
It was funny. I also heard my husband in the other room who's playing Dead by Daylight. Literally just be like, what happened to the internet? I was like, oh no. It's so stupid. Well, what do you have anything going on? Do you have anything to plug? Is there anything that you want people to see specifically, or tell people where they can find your writing and stuff?
I have stuff on Daily Grindhouse and Neon Splatter currently. Always shopping around for more. I have a new piece that's on Daily Grindhouse's Patreon that I think will be outside of that paywall in like a week.
Cool.
So, if you can hold on,
my lovely fans. If you want to get on, if you want to see that before, ahead of time, get on Daily Grindhouse's Patreon. I think it's cheap, so you should just like do it and help support art and stuff. And people watching movies and talking about them.
There's like 200 articles on there too, so there's no shortage of stuff.
I know. I scrolled quite a bit and was like, holy shit! Like there is a lot. So it's not only it's both like articles and a podcast.
Yeah, it's like a multimedia empire.
I love it. That sounds amazing. And yeah, from what I read, I thought it was really good. So everybody just Patreon it. Just do it. Just shut up. Do it. And then you said what else were you on?
Neon
Writing?
Splatter. Neon
Nice.
Splatter
Neon
is
Splatter.
free gratis.
Ooh. And then your movies in a minute, like those are just kind of on your Facebook, yeah? Or do you have those in like a centralized location?
Not yet, but there is talk of someone showing them, but I don't have no one yet. So far, you just have to be my Facebook friend.
That's awesome. Well, I'm honored to be your Facebook friend. Yeah, put them out, please. Like, just get a website and just post them. You'll be like it's like the cool, like Letterbox will want to buy you. Like, they'll just be like, wait a minute, but this guy's doing what we like to do. I'll give you money. Like, that's what I want them to do. I just want them to like you can, like, they'll hire you on as like a special guy that, like, you have to do it in Letterbox.
I will not be undersold. No one will do it cheaper than me.
Yeah, right. That's so no, I think if Letterbox asked me to do something like that, I'd be like, free 99, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Vito. I really appreciate you coming on, and I miss you so much. I'm so glad that I get to hang out with you. Please come back if you want.
I would love to. This was so much fun. It was great talking to you guys and seeing your beautiful faces and hearing about your lovely lives. So I can't wait to come back whenever you want.
Absolutely. No, seriously, I'll have you back in no time, and we'll talk about like a good movie that we like both agreed was really good, and maybe we can just deep dive into it or whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime you want.